American stars raise eyebrows as Ben Shelton, Tommy Paul, and others skip Monte-Carlo Masters as the excitement of the Indian Wells Open continues to build. The tennis world is already looking ahead to the transition from hard courts to clay. The shift traditionally begins after the Miami Open, when players begin preparing for the long European clay swing. But ahead of the Monte-Carlo Masters, a surprising trend has caught fans' attention. Several American stars, including Ben Shelton, Tommy Paul, Jensen Brooksby, Lerner Tin, Alex Mickelson, and Brandon Nakashima, have opted not to compete in Monaco this year. The decision has sparked curiosity across the tennis community. Why are so many rising American talents skipping one of the most iconic events on the clay calendar? A strategic scheduling choice that the Monte-Carlo Masters recently released its entry list for the 2026 edition, confirming the absence of several American players. Interestingly, this mirrors last year's trend, when many U.S. players also chose not to travel to the Mediterranean tournament. Unlike the mandatory ATP Masters events later in the season, Monte Carlo remains optional. That means players can skip it without suffering ranking penalties. For many athletes, that flexibility is valuable. Why bypassing Monaco, these players can delay the start of their European clay campaigns and begin preparation a week later. For a physically demanding surface like clay, pacing the season carefully can be critical. Tight calendar adds pressure. Another factor influencing the decision may be the packed tournament schedule. The U.S. Men's Clay Court Championship runs from March 30th to April 5th in Houston. Meanwhile, the Monte Carlo Masters begins on April 5th and continues through April 12th. That leaves almost no breathing room. Players competing in Houston would need to immediately travel thousands of miles from the United States to Monaco, switching time zones and surfaces in a matter of days. For athletes managing fatigue and training schedules, such a rapid transition can be physically taxing. A different kind of clay, the surface itself, also plays a role. In the United States, most clay courts are green hard true, which behaves differently from the traditional red clay used across Europe. The red clay courts of Monte Carlo produce slower ball speeds and higher bounces. This shift drastically alters match dynamics. Clay rewards patience, endurance, and tactical intelligence. Rallies often stretch longer, forcing players to build points carefully rather than relying on quick winners. For athletes raised primarily on hard courts, the adjustment can be significant. The historical struggle of Americans on clay, there is also a deeper narrative behind these decisions. History. For decades, American players have struggled to dominate on European clay. While the United States has produced numerous Grand Slam champions, success in Monaco has remained elusive. In fact, the last American to win the Monte Carlo Masters was Hugh Stewart, and that victory came all the way back in 1956. Even reaching the final has been rare. The last American to accomplish that feat was Aaron Krickstein, who finished runner-up in 1992. Names like Jim Courier, Pete Sampras, and Andre Agassi may dominate many tennis conversations, but none of them captured the Monte Carlo title. That long drought highlights how challenging the event has historically been for American players. Injuries also impact the field. The list of absentees extends beyond the United States. Danish star Holger Rune is also expected to miss the event due to injury concerns. His absence removes another young contender from the field, further reshaping the tournament's competitive landscape. Looking back at 2024, this pattern isn't new. In 2024, both Ben Shelton and Frances Tiafoe skipped Monte Carlo. Instead, they remained in the United States to compete in Houston. That decision paid off for Shelton. The young American delivered an impressive run and captured the title at the U.S. Men's Clay Court Championship, defeating Tiafoe in the final. The victory marked a breakthrough moment for Shelton on clay, even if it came on home soil rather than European red clay. Can Fritz and Tiafoe change the narrative? Despite the wave of withdrawals, the American presence in Monaco won't disappear entirely. Both Taylor Fritz and Frances Tiafoe are expected to compete at the Monte Carlo Masters this year. With many of their compatriots skipping the event, the spotlight now shifts to them. Fans will be watching closely to see whether either player can make a deep run on the red clay and perhaps rewrite a piece of American tennis history. Because if the past is any guide, Monte Carlo has rarely been friendly territory for players from the United States. But tennis thrives on surprises, and this year could present a rare opportunity for an American breakthrough ahead of the French Open. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.